this conversation that we're having is something that I would almost refer to as MAGA 101. This is like a freshman year class in MAGA college.
When I saw the H-1B debate going around, mostly what I saw was racism against Indians.
For Steve Bannon and the diehard MAGA group, they look at this as a betrayal.
Elon Musk has been at Mar-a-Lago for a bit too long and thinks that that is the sample of what MAGA is, and it simply isn't.
I think it's funny that you mentioned ad hominem attacks after you released a 26-minute video detailing my dad's benzo withdrawal and allergic reactions out on YouTube.
Do you mind if I finish my sentence, Mikhaila? You've just been talking for a long time. Do you mind if I?
Kind of.
There's not a time. There's not a time. Do you mind if I finish my sentence?
It's hard to address them all.
Do you mind if I finish my sentence? I feel like I've let you speak.
I mean, a bit, but go ahead.
Everyone's speaking.
The so-called MAGA civil war over visas for skilled workers has put some Trump supporters on an unusual collision course with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy.
Immigration, racism, and a MAGA civil war. Just another day on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Today, we're diving into a heated debate between Candace Owens and Mikhaila Peterson that touches on everything from visa policies to Twitter trolls. It's a clash of conservative heavyweights, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Let's break down what they're really saying and what this means for the broader conversation about immigration, identity, and the direction of the conservative movement.
Two influential voices on the right, Mikhaila Peterson and Candace Owens, traded barbs on this issue too. Peterson said, why did the woke right pretend it was illegal immigration they were against when it turned out it was immigration in general? At least be honest about it. There's assimilation into the culture and legal immigration. What is the problem other than the skin color? To which Candace Owens replied, Jordan Peterson's daughter thinks the visa debate comes down to Americans being upset about immigrant skin color, lol, and the nerve to call the right woke as she makes it about race. 2025 is going to be so much fun. Well, indeed it is, because I'm now going to bring these two together. Candace Owens, host of the Candace podcast, and Mikhaila Peterson, co-founder of Peterson Academy, both join me now. Welcome to both of you. Happy New Year to both of you. And Candace, you said it's going to be fun this year. Here we go. What was your big objection to what Mikhaila said?
Well, first and foremost, just to be someone that's so new in this country and then to immediately castigate or to cast aside everybody that's in here and say, well, guess what? You're just a bunch of racists. You don't like brown skin, while at the same time referring to us as woke, was just mind-boggling to me. Just as Steve Bannon said, it means that she hasn't spent the time to understand who and what the American people are, what the MAGA movement is, and why they have concerns about this program. And so to make sure that everybody around the world understands why this is such a big debate, the H-1B visa program is essentially a foreign worker visa that allows employers to hire workers into quote unquote specialty programs, essentially for people who have some sort of a specialized knowledge. But to be clear, the program has been around since 1990, so the results aren't up for debate. We were just simply lied to about what we were told it was going to do, which was to source the top 1% of talent globally. Instead, they're using the program to source cashiers, teachers, janitors, PR people.
Candace is framing the H-1B visa debate as a bait and switch that hurts American workers. But here's the question. Are we really losing high-paying jobs to unqualified foreign workers, or is this just another way to scapegoat immigration for broader economic issues? Because if we're being honest, this debate isn't just about visas. It's about how we define fairness in a system that's clearly flawed.
So I'm going to have to believe that the American people are very much capable and willing to fulfill those positions, and that instead this program has been completely abused to get foreign workers here who then have a pathway to citizenship, and it lowers worker wages and it's harming the American people. So I am not fond of it. And I'll add here that prior to his passing, Lou Dobbs of Fox News looked into the program and he determined that 7 out of the 10 H-1B positions were being outsourced from Indian corporations to American corporations. So it's not globally looking at the 1%. And 5 of those 7 positions were category 1, which essentially just means that they didn't require any specialized knowledge. These are the janitors, these are the teachers, and they are just taking jobs away from the American people. So I just found her referring to this as an issue with being brown, or Americans having an issue with brown people, to be almost comical, to be honest. And I'd love to hear her further explain that position.
Okay, well, we're now going to hear it. Mikhaila, over to you.
So I don't know, Candace, if you're seeing what I'm seeing on X, but when I saw the H-1B debate going around, mostly what I saw was racism against Indians specifically. And I'm not saying there isn't a problem with the visa issue in the States in general. Getting top talent here is very difficult. Like I had a very difficult time getting in, and I'm married to an American, and it was long and annoying, and they don't have a proper way to test people. So there's plenty of flaws to talk about. But I think right before the inauguration, having conservatives argue like amongst ourselves about an H-1B visa issue when we have an open border is silly, especially when it does kind of dredge up what I called the woke right on X. And I know you've scoffed at the term the woke right, but it encompasses these people that are focused on anti-Semitism, Jews, and they're pro-America, but their idea of America is this white America, similar to, I guess, what everyone's been arguing about for the last 200 years whenever anybody new comes into the country. And I do think it has to do with race. And I think you can see that from comments on Twitter. I mean, Vivek put up a picture. I don't know if you saw it. It wasn't Vivek. It was this horrible woman on Twitter. What's her name? Something Lupus. She's a doctor. She goes, "Oh, what do you guys think about this? Thoughts?" And it's a picture of Vivek and his brown family. And one of the most interacted with comments was subversive brown poop eating parasites. And that's what flooded my feed. And I think I had some irritation because I'm, aligning with conservatives because the woke left has been a disaster for America and for Canada and for the West for years. And it's just frustrating to see them go at each other over something like an H-1B when there are bigger issues like an open border. And I think people are misunderstanding the H-1B, although it does have its issues as well. There's also the H-2B, which nobody knows about, and that's for people who are paid lower. The average wage for an H-1B visa is $118K. So there was all this talk on Twitter about how these people are underpaid and everything. $118K is pretty good. Companies, I don't think most companies, especially tech companies, are hiring H-1Bs to become more successful to make more money. You're not making more money by getting H-1B visas in. You're making more money by having a successful company by hiring top talent. So I don't think we're completely not aligned entirely, because I agree the visa process in America is ridiculous. And it doesn't test people, like I said, properly. But I think it's silly to fracture the Conservative Party by arguing about 85,000 H-1B visas when we have an open border.
All right, this is where Mikhaila shifts the focus. And she's not wrong to question priorities. But let's unpack this. Can the immigration debate really be boiled down to an either-or situation? Open borders and visa policies are two sides of the same coin. How we manage who comes into the country and why. What's interesting here is Mikhaila's call to avoid division within the conservative movement. But isn't healthy debate how movements refine their values? Or is this infighting a sign of deeper fractures within the right?
And I don't like the racism.
Okay. Candace, do you see common ground there in what you just heard from Mikhaila? And what do you also feel about the fact that Steve Bannon and the diehard MAGA group, they look at this as a betrayal when they see Vivek and Elon and now Trump as well, all piling in, enthusiastically supporting this? They say, well, hang on, that's not about making America great again. They're not buying into, we need to get all these brilliant people coming here. They think it's a system that's being abused, and that it goes against the spirit of MAGA. So you're seeing a real interesting debate raging about the heart of what MAGA really means.
I think Steve Bannon fully has his finger on the pulse there, so he's completely right. And just to respond to the point about seeing racist comments on Twitter, I've heard this argument a lot of times from people where they'll suddenly pretend that if you take a position of something and they can find a racist comment beneath it, then you're on the side of the racist.
That's not what I'm doing.
That's just called, I'm just saying that literally since the day that I started my accounts on Instagram, I've been called the N-word from left and the right. It's just welcome to the internet. Doesn't mean that these are the positions that are represented. In fact, this conversation that we're having is something that I would almost refer to as MAGA 101. This is like a freshman year class in MAGA college. I've been hearing this debate, have spoken about this debate on stage. I've spoken at more than 100 universities. And to be frank with you, because I came over from the left, when I first got into this movement, I thought the same thing. I thought, okay, well, I don't understand what the issue is if it's legal migration. But I then listened to people and I wanted to understand where people were coming from. And I opened my mind to what they were saying and realized that they were very much correct. And I think that's sort of where you get into trouble with the MAGA movement, when you just instantly sweep away and condemn everyone and say, well, some people were saying racist stuff about Indians, and so this entire argument now is based on racism. It simply isn't. Vivek, I personally stumped for Vivek. So if you think that I'm going to be on board with people being racist for him, when I went on the ground with him all throughout Iowa when he was running for president, of course not. I'm also brown myself, but I understand that this has nothing to do with the merits of the arguments that are being presented here. And it is just a fact that the H-1B visa, the majority of the people that are coming into this country are not coming in with any extraordinary skills, are not coming in because they're a part of the 1%. It is being completely abused and jobs are being taken away from the American people. Now, Piers, to your point about the MAGA rift, I'm glad to see it. I very much agree with Steve Bannon. I mean, the last estimate that was done, by the way, and this speaks to Mikhaila, you saying it's just 85,000 people that are allowed annually. Well, the last estimate that was done in 2019 approximated that 600,000 foreign nationals were here on this visa program, all of them being provided with a pathway to citizenship. That doesn't include, in 2 years, you can then get out of that program and become a permanent resident. Okay, so that they're allowed to stay in this country from up to 6 years. They don't apply for permanent residency. Of course, we can assume that the majority of them do. And they're allowed to stay up to 10 years if they go to work for the Department of Defense. Again, all of these applicants have a pathway to citizenship. So you just imagine, you're like, yeah, I just went to work in America as a teacher for a couple of years and I became a citizen, or as a janitor for a couple of years and I became a citizen. It's not okay. And I want to be clear, all across the board, it's not just the H-1B. There's a ton of visa programs that are being routinely abused. And like I said, I have faith in the American people. I think that the American people can fulfill those positions. I know they can fulfill those positions. And so I am not on the side of Elon Musk and Trump in the state.
This debate isn't just about immigration or visa programs. It's a snapshot of where we are as a society, divided, reactive, and often speaking past each other. Whether you side with Candace, Mikhaila, or neither, these are the conversations that shape policy and public opinion. So what do you think? Is this debate shedding light on real issues, or is it a distraction from the bigger picture? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more bold and unapologetic content.